Welcome to Deep Fear, where your darkest nightmares turn real. Tonight's story may just keep you awake, so let's start the video. And don't forget to subscribe. There's a reason some mirrors are covered during storms. It's not about ghosts. It's about what happens when your reflection starts to move. Before you do. There's a mirror in room 6B of the Barclay Hotel that doesn't reflect the present. It reflects the moment you die. Or so the legend goes. Kara didn't believe in any of that. She was a sound tech for a paranormal YouTube crew, the Blacklight Files, hired to spend the weekend filming inside Barclay for their 100th episode. It was a former sanitarium, burned in 1947, restored in the 1990s. Too many rumors to count. But one floor, the 6th, had been sealed ever since the fire. The only room that remained intact was 6B, and inside it, behind the velvet curtain, was the mirror. Chapter 2. The first recording, the crew set up 4 cameras. One inside 6B, one in the hallway, one facing the mirror, one that Kara held herself, handheld, with a mic rig attached. They joked about it at first, played up the drama. Room 6B, the place where your reflection says goodbye before you do. Smash that like button or the mirror gets you. But when they reviewed the footage later, something was wrong. Kara had never gone inside the room. She was in the hallway the entire time. And yet, in the mirror feed, she was standing right in front of it, smiling. Kara didn't sleep. She couldn't stop watching the clip. There she was, on the mirror's camera feed, standing inside room 6B, arms crossed, staring directly into the glass. But she had never stepped foot inside that room. Not once. And in the video, her reflection blinked. Not just once. It blinked before the real Kara did. That wasn't a delay. That was control. The rest of the crew joked about it. You probably walked in and forgot. Or it's a light trick. The mirror's old. It warps stuff. But Kara knew better. Every mirror she passed now, hotel bathroom, hallway corner, even the rear camera on her phone, showed something slightly off. Her reflection stood a little too still. Smiled when she didn't. And twice now, she was sure it watched her leave the room. She started keeping the mirrors covered with towels, until someone pulled one off again, and left a note. You'll have to face yourself eventually. The night they decided to do the final mirror test, the hotel lost power. The crew scrambled to set up battery packs and lights, making the scene extra dramatic. Kara begged them not to go inside. But Tyler, the show's host, walked right in, head held high. Watch me roast my own ghost. The lights inside flickered, and when the mirror came into view, there were 2 Tylers, one standing in the room, one inside the glass, but neither moved. For a full minute, the mirror, Tyler, just smiled. Then, he lifted his hand first. The next morning, Tyler was gone. No calls, no texts, no trace. His gear sat in room 6B, powered off. No footage saved. Only one thing was left. A single handprint on the inside of the mirror's glass. Perfectly centered. As if someone had pressed from the other side. The crew panicked. Kara tried to call the cops, but no one believed a grown man could disappear inside a mirror. It's a prank, the officer said. Your friend's probably on TikTok right now. But Kara knew better, because that night, on her phone screen, in selfie mode, she saw Tyler standing right behind her. Kara stopped filming, stopped sleeping. She covered every reflective surface in her hotel room, screens, windows, faucets, but still she heard it. From her unplugged laptop, from her muted phone, even from her bathroom mirror wrapped in tape. A voice whispering, "Come back to 6B." It's not just you anymore." One night, she found her own camera rolling. She hadn't turned it on. The file name was replacementready.move. She opened it. The screen showed her, sitting in room 6B, staring at the mirror. And behind her, everyone else from the crew, all of them smiling. Kara went back one last time. She didn't bring a camera, she didn't bring her phone, just a flashlight. Room 6B was freezing. The air buzzed. The velvet curtain had already been pulled back. The mirror waited. Her reflection was already there, smiling. But then it did something different. It raised its hand, pressed it to the glass, and wrote something across the fog forming on the inside. "We look better than you." Kara dropped the light. The mirror cracked, not from her side, from inside. Kara ran, but the hotel was wrong now. Hallways she didn't recognize, doors in the wrong places, mirrors at every turn, even where there had been none. And in every one of them, her reflection wasn't following. It moved ahead of her, looked back, smirked. "You never knew how fake you looked," it whispered, "until I wore you." She reached the exit stairwell, but the glass door showed her standing still. Behind it, trapped. Weeks later, the Barclay Hotel was cleared of guests. The crew from the Blacklight files was declared missing. Only one thing was recovered: a hard drive labeled "Do Not Watch." It contained a single video. The camera shakes as someone walks backward into room 6B. The mirror is visible, cracked. You see Kara on screen. She looks into the mirror, and then you appear behind her, holding the camera. Just before the screen cuts out, her reflection says, "It's your turn now." There are sounds babies hear that adults never will, not because they've grown up, but because something doesn't want them to remember. The house on Marlowe Street had always been strange. Not haunted, not exactly, but off, like it was waiting for someone to remember it. Claire didn't think much about that when she moved in with her newborn son, Eli. She was too exhausted, too sleep-deprived, too heartbroken after the sudden loss of her husband in a traffic accident 3 months earlier. She just needed a quiet place, somewhere cheap, somewhere to start over. The real estate agent had practically given the place away. "Old bones, good walls," he'd said. "Perfect for a fresh start." But on her first night, Claire heard something over the baby monitor. Not crying, not breathing, humming. Claire sat bolt upright at 2:17 a.m. The baby monitor blinked on the nightstand beside her bed. It wasn't static. It wasn't white noise. It was a woman's voice, low, raspy, almost like a whisper underwater. "Hush, little baby, don't say a word." She rushed to the nursery. Eli was asleep, perfectly still, not crying. But the mobile above the crib was spinning slowly, even though the window was closed. She turned off the monitor, pulled Eli close, and sat in the rocking chair. She tried to calm herself. Just a dream, just grief. But in the hallway mirror, she thought she saw a shadow behind her, one that wasn't hers. The next morning, Claire hardly remembered falling asleep. Eli had dozed peacefully in her arms. The house felt still. Too still. But when she woke, he wasn't in the rocker with her. He was back in the crib, sleeping. Claire froze. She was sure she hadn't put him there. She rushed to him. He was warm, breathing, peaceful. But something was under his hand, a piece of paper. Not folded, not torn. Clean, drawn in what looked like crayon. A red figure with long arms, standing next to a crib. Over the top, in shaky handwriting, it read, "She likes when he's quiet." Claire stared at it, heart pounding. Eli couldn't even hold a crayon yet. She searched the house top to bottom, Every closet, every cupboard. The windows were all locked. No sign of anyone else. But then, while checking the hallway upstairs, she noticed something strange. There was a door that didn't appear on the floor plan. Narrow, faintly warped, painted over in beige, almost invisible against the wall. She tried the knob. Locked. When she leaned closer, she heard something from inside. Wood creaking, like footsteps. And beneath that, a soft hum, a lullaby. "And if that mockingbird don't sing..." She stumbled back, hand trembling on the wall. The door didn't just feel shut, it felt sealed, like it wasn't meant to open. That night, Claire dug out the old baby monitor from the box it came in. There was a note inside. Folded, faded, written in neat cursive, torn from a notebook. "Don't tune to channel 3. If you hear humming, turn it off. If it responds, you've already lost." She stared at the words. Her hands went cold. She turned the dial to channel 3. At first, nothing but static. Then a faint hiss. Then a voice. Not hers, not human. "You opened the door, even if you didn't mean to." She yanked the plug. But from the nursery, Eli began to hum. Claire hadn't touched the old toy box in the nursery. It was already there when she moved in, tucked in the corner, hand-painted with faded animals. A giraffe, a bear, a bird with 2 heads. The lid had warped over time, swollen with moisture. It hadn't budged since she arrived. Until now? That morning, it was wide open. And inside? There were no toys. Just 3 things. A baby doll with its face scratched off. A small music box. And a torn corner of wallpaper with something drawn on the back. Claire picked it up. It showed a tall figure with hands like branches and eyes that were red dots, dripping ink. Underneath, written in smeared pencil, "She comes when the music stops." Claire turned the music box key, carefully. It played a warped version of Rock-a-Bye Baby, every note dragging slightly behind the last. Halfway through, it hiccuped, stuttered, and stopped. Click. From behind her, the baby monitor turned on. She hadn't plugged it in. And from the speaker, "You shouldn't have wound it." The light in the nursery flickered. Claire spun toward the crib. The mobile above Eli's head was spinning wildly, though there was no breeze. Suddenly, the monitor hissed and screamed with static. Then a woman's voice, low, rasping. "I told you to keep him quiet." That night, Claire barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the lullaby again. Slow, sung by someone who sounded tired of being heard. She wrapped Eli in blankets and took him to sleep downstairs, on the couch. But around 3:17 a.m., the house moaned. Not the wind, not pipes, the walls. Breathing. She looked up toward the ceiling and saw something pressing out of the drywall. A face. Mouth open, eyes shut, like someone screaming from the inside, frozen just beneath the surface. And then, knocking. 3 knocks, from upstairs, from the sealed door. Claire wasn't crazy. She knew what she heard last night wasn't a dream. The woman's voice, the knocking, the face in the wall. But what chilled her the most happened the next morning. She had left the baby monitor recording overnight, just to prove to herself it was all in her head. When she played it back, there was breathing. Soft, low. And then, "Clary Bear." Claire's chest froze. That nickname, Clary Bear, was something only one person had ever called her. Her mother. Her mother who died 30 years ago. The voice didn't sound like her, but it used her words. And then, after a short silence, "Come play upstairs." That evening, Claire heard a soft click from upstairs. She crept to the hallway. The sealed door, the one that was painted over, the one that never opened, was now ajar. Inside was dust, cobwebs, dolls stacked in the corners like a shrine. And on the floor, a baby blanket, the same one her mother had hand-stitched when Claire was a baby. It had her initials in the corner, C.E. She hadn't seen it since her childhood home burned down. It was lost forever. But now, it was here. Something wanted her to remember. Claire stepped into the room. The light didn't work. But the moment she crossed the doorway, the air grew heavy. She felt smaller, like a child again. On the far wall, someone had scrawled in red crayon, "Shh, the baby is sleeping." A crib sat in the corner, identical to Eli's. Inside it, a baby doll, mouth stitched shut, eyes open wide, staring at her. She turned to leave, but the door slammed shut behind her. The music box began to play. Only this time, the tune was backwards. From behind the crib, something began to stand up. Claire backed into the far corner of the room. The music box played in reverse, each note dragging like fingernails on a chalkboard. The figure behind the crib rose fully now, tall, thin, her face hidden by a torn veil. Her dress was old, heavy, soaked at the hem. Her arms ended in fingers too long, too thin, each nail blackened and cracked. But what made Claire's stomach turn was her neck. It bent the wrong way, like it had been broken and never healed. The figure tilted her head slowly. "You left me here?" Claire's mouth went dry. "Who are you?" The figure stepped closer. "I rocked you to sleep before your mother ever did. You cried for me before you even knew her name." Claire shook her head. "I don't remember you." "That's the point." The woman moved toward the crib. She reached down and gently stroked the doll's cheek, as if it were alive. "I was your first lullaby. I was the arms that held you when you screamed in your crib. Before you could speak, you sang to me." The air grew colder. Claire's breath came out in fog. "But you grew up. You forgot me. And when you had a child of your own..." She looked up. Her eyes, what little could be seen under the veil, burned red. "You brought him back to me." Claire lunged for the door, but it wouldn't budge. The knob felt like bone, twisting uselessly in her hands. "You can't have him!" she screamed. The woman moved faster than should have been possible. 1 second, she stood by the crib. The next, she was inches from Claire's face. "He cries, I come. That was always the rule." Claire felt something slip into her hand. The music box. The lid snapped shut, and the song cut off. The room went still. The figure stumbled backward, screeching, her voice no longer gentle, but shrill and layered, like several women screaming at once. Claire grabbed the door again. This time, it opened. Claire burst into the nursery. The crib was empty. Eli was gone. She screamed his name, tore apart the blankets, checked under the crib, behind the rocking chair, beneath the dresser. Nothing. Only the note, folded neatly and placed in the center of the mattress. It was written in the same scratchy red crayon as the other messages. "He's with her now. Be a good girl. And you'll get to sing too." Her hands trembled. She looked around the room and suddenly noticed all of Eli's toys were arranged in a perfect circle on the floor. In the middle of them, the baby doll with no face. Claire clutched the monitor, turned it back on, desperate. "Please," she whispered, "I just want him back." Static. Then, very clearly, "Then come sing with us." The screen, black and white, flickered. And in the grainy image, she saw the old room again, the secret one, the sealed one. Only now Eli was inside, sitting in the crib, not crying, just watching. Behind him, the tall woman stood like a shadow, arms outstretched, rocking the air. Claire's voice cracked. You said I forgot you, but I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose you." The woman's head turned toward the camera. She smiled. But he did. The music box began playing again, on its own. Claire dropped the monitor in shock. It shattered. But the lullaby kept playing from upstairs, and softly, so softly. Eli's voice began to sing along. Claire ran. The moment she stepped into the hall, the light bulbs burst, one by one, in sync with the tune. The air grew heavy, the walls dripped with condensation, and the house moaned like a creature breathing through its cracks. The sealed door stood wide open now, and from within, the voice called out again. "Come now, Clary Bear. Your crib is waiting." Claire stepped through the open door. The room beyond wasn't the same as before. It was no longer dusty or broken. It was clean, glowing, softly lit by a lamp that flickered like a heartbeat. And at the center of the room, 2 cribs. One held Eli. He looked up at her and smiled sleepily. The other. She stepped closer. Inside was a baby doll, the same faceless one, but now its cloth chest rose and fell, breathing. Claire's voice shook. "What is this place?" "Home," the woman whispered, emerging from the shadows. "The place you forgot you came from." The tall woman circled the cribs like a nurse in an old hospital. "You were born here, Claire. Not in a hospital, not in any record. Your mother lied to you." Claire shook her head, backing away. "She was desperate. You wouldn't sleep. You wouldn't eat. You only stopped crying when I held you." The room shuddered. The music box played a single broken note. "She promised me something. If I made you quiet." Claire's voice cracked. "Promise what?" Her next child. Claire felt cold sink into her stomach. But she never had another. So now, the woman leaned closer, veil brushing Claire's cheek. "I take yours." The walls began to melt, revealing images behind them, like frescoes beneath peeling paint. Claire saw a woman, her mother, clutching a crying infant in the very room she now stood. Saw her open the closet. Saw her place the child inside, whispering, "Just a few hours. Let her hold you. I'll be right here." And then, Claire saw herself, years later, walking past this house, age 12, staring at the windows, drawn to it, something calling her back even then. She had always been meant to return. "You're part of the lullaby now," the woman said, "and lullabies never end until someone listens." The walls pulsed like lungs. Claire stood between the 2 cribs, Eli in one, the breathing doll in the other, and the tall woman behind them, veil fluttering without wind. "Choose, Clary Bear. Take your son, and I'll follow him forever. Or stay, and the song ends." Claire looked down at Eli. He didn't cry. He never cried in this room, because she was here, holding him, rocking him, singing to him. Claire reached for him, then stopped. Her hand hovered over the other crib. The doll's cloth skin was warm. Its chest rose. Its tiny stitched hands moved slightly, reaching back, and Claire remembered something. She'd sung this lullaby before. The woman didn't move. She only hummed, low and endless. Claire took the doll from the crib. It clung to her. Its breath against her neck wasn't warm. It was ancient. It smelled of dust, milk, and rotted flowers. She kissed its forehead. "You just wanted to be held, didn't you?" The lullaby stopped. The woman froze. "You remember?" Claire nodded. "You were forgotten. Left behind. Buried in someone else's bedtime story." Claire tucked the doll into her arms and sat in the rocking chair. "Then let me hold you, until you fall asleep." The woman knelt slowly, like a puppet whose strings were being cut. The veil dropped. Her face was empty. Not deformed, just unfinished. A doll that had never been completed. She whispered one last line. Now you're the mother." The room began to fade. Eli's crib tipped gently, rocked by unseen hands, and a soft light enveloped him. Claire smiled through tears. "Go, baby, go live." And just before the room went dark completely, she hummed, "Hush, little baby." 3 weeks later, a new listing appeared. Charming Victorian home on Marlowe Street, recently vacated, comes with vintage nursery, custom-painted toy box, and fully restored attic. But in the photos, sharp eyes noticed something odd. A shadow in the crib, a woman in the mirror. And if you turned the volume all the way up on the video walkthrough, at 3:17, you could hear it, a lullaby. Still playing, waiting for someone new to sing it. If you enjoyed this nightmare, like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.